on the TV, Sean, we got the quad box going.
Yes.
We got Georgia Clemson on the screen. We have West Virginia Penn State. I believe Vandy is surprising some people, up 17-0 on Virginia Tech, and we also have the Iowa. I can't see who they're playing.
Illinois State.
Illinois State. I saw like what looked like a Cardinal logo, and I didn't think it was Louisville, but I couldn't tell who it was because we're in the quad box and the logos are a little bit small. But Astros. Look, it feels like we've done this all year. I guess this is more a second half of the year thing when they actually became good. And welcome in. This is the bullpen. Yes. Sean Mapes, Brian McDonald. Clutch City Cam not here this week. He'll be back, I guess, in 2 weeks because we're off next week because of the Aggies game. And, of course, Johnny Belber behind the glass. If you want to get into the conversation, we got lots of Astros and Texans to talk. Some college football to start off hour 2. Give us a call or a text on the HRMP listener line at 713-780-3776. But it feels like we've done this with the Astros now for the last month or so when they've turned it around, but they'll hit these momentary little blips where they lose a couple games. Most recently, the Astros lose the first 2 games of the Phillies series, and everyone's like, "Oh my God!" Like they're going against legit competition. It's a tough stretch, and now their things are falling off. Then they win like 10-0 to close the series. They've taken the first 2 games from the Royals, who are also above them in the standings. And I guess we're all feeling confident again? Question mark.
Yeah, I think that coming off last weekend's series in Baltimore, where they win, they get the split. But it really felt like they had a good chance to win all 4 of those games. Yeah, because the first 2 games,
you feel like it definitely feels like a should have won the series moment.
Yeah, and then on Monday we're talking about, hey, got the split. That's what you could ask for. Is there any chance that we look back and think, oh, maybe wish you would have had one of these winnable games that you lost back, and they go in and they lose the first 2 games in Philadelphia, and you're like, oh my God, this is kind of become a disaster. The Saturday game,
you had to have those games in Baltimore because now you're getting your ass kicked by the Phillies.
And then like you said, the last 3 games, it's been 2 no-hit bids into the 7th inning for the Astros, a 10-0 win, a 6-3 win, and then of course last night's 3-2 over the Orioles or over the Royals. And yeah, I think that is really kind of a microcosm of, like you said, not just the season, or not this season, but this season since the Astros started winning games. Early in the season, they would just lose all these games.
Yeah. You didn't have to worry about the ups and downs. They were just down.
They probably lose the last 2 Royals games if they happened in May.
For sure. Well, yeah, they played this series in April. Remember how that went?
That is true.
Yeah, we know how that went. That went very poorly.
I just mean the blowing a lead in the 9th inning, or 2 nights ago now, where they needed some real what's a Keystone Cops defense from the Royals, where both the pitcher and first baseman hurt themselves in throwing the ball away to lose the game.
Yeah, Vinny Pasquantino.
Yeah, pour one out for my boy Vinny. We
need more baseball players named Vinny.
I would agree with that.
I think we just need more people in general named Vinny. Outside of movies that portray Italian Americans poorly. Outside of those movies, we need more people.
I think
Sean Mapes supports the mob. You heard it here first.
Hey, listen, they protect the neighborhood.
It's for the kids. They keep the streets clean.
Exactly. It's the sanitation unit. What are we talking about?
I don't know. Astros. So let's talk about Framber Valdez, because you mentioned that, second time in 3 games, 4 games that they had a no-hit bid go into the 7th. Framber last night, no hit, I believe 3 walks through 7. And let's go ahead and head this off at the pass, because there's going to be someone yelling about it on Twitter or Facebook or wherever people yell about things that don't matter. But Framber Valdez, again, no hitter through 7, gets pulled at 98 pitches. If you're angry that he got pulled, I'm looking at you then, Sean. I'm okay, right here. Okay, dead in your eyes. If you're angry about getting Framber Valdez in a pennant race this deep into the season, getting pulled after 98 pitches because he had a no-hitter through 7, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. And you're I'll retract the idiot because I like you. You're short-sighted. Okay. You're short-sighted.
I am nearsighted.
So. Okay, yeah, we're both wearing glasses. That's not literally what I meant.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's not literally what I meant.
It's myopia.
But I mean, I think we did a Why So Serious on this with Paul Skeens, but I guess about a month ago now. But I mean, I hope Astros Twitter didn't melt down because he got pulled, because we did see people melt down about, oh my God, Bregman got pulled out of the game and it cost Arrighetti the no-hitter.
That was a real low point of Astros Twitter.
But Fromber,
insane that people are upset.
He's had such a heavy workload the last few years as the horse of the staff, especially as Justin Verlander's either not been on the team because he went to the Mets or been hurt, that I don't want to overwork this guy in August still. We need him at his freshest and at his best when he gets into, late September and October as this pennant race comes down to the final days. It beyond needing to save his arm when you can, and I thought last night it made sense to, even though they'd obviously had to have the walk-off hit from Altuve because the Josh Hader gave it up. But beyond that, he still had 6 outs against. Okay, even if you decide, you know what, screw his arm, screw October, we're going for the no-hitter, which I think is short-sighted because you care about a regular season one-game cool moment over over what could potentially be a deep playoff run. But beyond that, he had 6 outs against. It's not like if you leave him in, there's some guarantee he's going to get a no-hitter. We saw Framber Valdez go, 8 2/3 with a no-hitter not that long ago, and he lost it, on the last guy up. So, yeah, I think it's short-sighted for anyone angry that he gets pulled from the no-hitter last night.
I also think if you're Astros fans, then maybe this is real spoiled talk. But
we are spoiled.
How many no-hitters do you want to see?
I know.
Honestly, I
literally no team in baseball since the Astros have become a Major League Baseball team, which I think was 62. Have more no-hitters than the Houston Astros.
Yeah, either 60 or 62. And, this is from Sarah Lang's last night after Fromber took a no-hitter into the 7th. Most no-hit bids of 7+ innings since the start of 2019, including the playoffs. So 5 years.
Okay, in which the Astros have had really good pitching staffs during that time.
The Astros are at 17 of those. Next is the Padres at 8. 17 times in the last 5 years, there's been a no-hitter in the 7th inning by the Houston Astros. I think every single time there's been some part of the fan base that's been complaining about either a guy getting pulled or a third baseman getting pulled for some reason. I think at this point, I don't mean to diminish the accomplishment of no-hitters.
Diminish it.
Do we care if Framber Valdez throws another no-hitter? He throws every what, on average, we're getting 3 a year?
Yeah.
Over 3 a year of no-hit bids into the 7th from an Astro.
Yeah.
At some point, it's just, I can't get worked up. Like you said, when Fromber lost his no-hitter in the 9th earlier this year, I realized, I was like, normally I'd be not crushed, but I'd be pretty down.
You'd be disappointed,
I'd be pretty down about it. I'm glad we got the win. That's all.
Because he literally had a no-hitter the year prior.
Yes, it's just, I joked with Jeremy this week about what do you say to all the 4-month-old kids that have never seen an Astros no-hitter? Because literally they threw one this year.
Yeah, Ronel Blanco's very first start of the season.
One of, I think, only 3, maybe even 2 no-hitters this season.
Blake Snell had a no-hitter.
Snell had one, and Dylan Cease got one.
Dylan Cease had a no-hitter.
So 3.
Yeah,
Ronel Blanco, Dylan Cease, and Blake Snell.
Yeah.
Unless I'm forgetting someone. That's your no-hitters in baseball this year.
Yeah, and Frommer's obviously had a couple near ones. Spencer Arrighetti as well, but
Arrighetti 2 days ago.
Yeah, so it's just I don't get. I mean, you're absolutely right. John. When you're watching Astros games, and it feels like we have this conversation once every 3 weeks because of how often the Astros are taking no hitters deep in the game. But does it add to your enjoyment at all at this point? I guess it didn't add to the enjoyment. But what are your feelings when the no hitters in progress? And I don't feel like Sean and I have the same enjoyment as we used to because it's happening so much.
No, it's not the same as it used to be, right? But it's still a big accomplishment. It's still something that doesn't happen that often across the league or around the league. So it's still something I think you can get excited about when it's happening. But for us, I think it's a little weird that people get so mad at it because the team is so dang good. If you had a team that was horrible, having a no-hitter every once in a while from one of your pitchers it's a big thing to talk about. Like you're talking about that. No, for us, it's like, no, we're worried about a World Series. Why are we worried about this no-hitter that almost happened?
Yeah.
That's a great point. For the Mets, who historically for a long, long time were I think the only franchise in baseball without a no-hitter, and I believe until Johan Santana got them one. I don't remember.
He threw 150 57 pitches or something. It was never the same.
I think Jon Stewart was crying in the stands because the Mets fans had never seen a no-hitter. And I don't think they've had one since, unless maybe DeGrom did one. I don't know. His arm falls off, so I don't know if they would actually try to get him through 9 innings. But I could to John's point, like if you're the A's, that's a cool moment for your season. The White Sox, that would be a cool moment for your season if Garrett Crochet throws a no-hitter. But when you're the Astros, and not only have you seen more of them than any other team, any other fan base in baseball, but like, what does it matter for the course of the season? Like, what makes your season a success? It's not a no-hitter.
Yeah, obviously it'll be in like Ronel Blanco's, the one that he actually threw this season for the Astros. It'll be on the 2024 Astros highlight package and stuff. And I think for most fan bases, it would probably be the biggest moment that happened for their team that year. If you're not even, you don't even have to go down to the A's and the White Sox, just even like these teams that are going to finish with 75 wins, 80 wins, that a no-hitter really is something that your fans can enjoy. Is probably the biggest moment that your fans are going to have to enjoy your season. With the Astros, that's just not the case because they make the ALCS every year. And this year, they're trying to win the division and maybe even climb up. Even after starting 7-19, they're trying to climb up to a bye, either the 1 or 2 seed, and make another ALCS this year. That is still what the goals are. So, yeah. You have to keep that in mind when your best pitcher, is at 98 pitches after 7 innings of no hit ball. You pass the ball to Brian Abreu and hope he gets 3 outs, and then Josh Hader gets 3 outs. That's just what you do.
Yeah, it's so let's actually talk about what Framber did last night, beyond the idea of
pulled?
My God,
yeah,
getting pulled exactly.
What else?
How dare you, Joe Espada? We didn't think you're going to be AJ Hinch pulling out Zach Greinke, not putting in Garrett Cole. How dare you?
This is
sir?
An equal decision.
Yes. So yeah, exactly. Same level of consequence. Exactly. No hitters are you get rings for no hitters, right? We put up a banner. No. Okay. So Framber Valdez, I think a lot of the conversation from last year, especially second half, where he had a no hitter right in the middle of it, was like, man, he's so up and down, he's inconsistent, and he's mentally weak, blah blah blah, soft, as Jeremy would say.
Mm-hmm. That is what he would say.
That's what he would say. That's kind of Jeremy's bag. But you look at Framber, and this dominance goes back a little bit further. But I just did for a clean start date, June 1st through now. We're looking at 16 starts for Framber, and over that time, his ERA is 2.54. I mean, he's exactly the type of pitcher he was in the first half of last season when he was like top 3 for Cy Young on basically every odds board. So I feel pretty comfortable saying like great Framber is back. And I don't know how you could I know there will be some people who want to put JV out there because he's JV, he's the Hall of Famer, whatever. But if the Astros do win the division and get to the playoffs, is there any conversation or doubt that Framber's your game 1 starter?
No, in my mind, no. I don't really think there's a case for Verlander versus Framber. I mean, I remember on, what was it, Thursday, after Spencer Arrighetti threw seven,
he was amazing.
7 no-hit innings. Yeah. We're talking about Arrighetti or Verlander in a playoff rotation. So I think Framber is pretty nailed in as your number 1 starter. Then maybe it depends on whether you're on the series home or road. If you want to start Verlander in a road game for game 2 or Hunter Brown, I feel like that's more of the decision at this point, because as much as we love what Arrighetti's done as of late, I do think that the playoffs are a little bit different of a stage, and that's ultimately what Verlander is here to do, is to be the guy. He's pitched in all these big moments before, so I think Verlander still has a spot in the playoff rotation, but Framber's number 1, I think, pretty easily.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to carry a little bit of this Astros conversation over to the other side, get an update on Kyle Tucker, and I'll ask Sean and John Belmer where their sweat level is right now on the AL West race, with the Astros currently leading the Mariners by 4 wins. Thank you, Sean, for checking your pits there. I don't see any sweat, so
no,
we might already have Sean's answer. That when the bullpen returns on ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
Broadcasting live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios, it's the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Welcome back into the Bullpen. If you want to get on the conversation, give us a call or text on the HRMP listener line. You can reach us at 713-780-3776, or you can find us on Twitter. I, Brian McDonald, and I'm on Twitter at SackByBMax. Sean's at Sean A. Mapes, and John Belmer is at Third Coast Johnny. Did I get that right? For some reason, I just had a momentary. I had a momentary lapse where I was like, "Holy crap! I think I might have got that one wrong." But no, I did not. Yeah, not really. No.
Okay.
As you could probably hear in my voice, I'm dealing with a little something, which as Sean knows because he's doing shows with me every weekend. That's pretty much been the case for the last month.
Yeah.
It's been a rough stretch. When you have a 3-year-old, sometimes you catch stuff.
A lot of cough drops.
Especially now that my daughter's in school. So not only do I have her, but I've got all the other kids who can also pass stuff to her. Yeah. It's a lot sometimes. I don't really recommend kids just for. Okay. I mean, you guys both don't have some, so you can prevent that decision.
And Brian, I think we work well together on the show.
I
would like to say that maybe we even are friends. I wasn't waiting on your recommendation for kids to have them or not have them. I appreciate the input. I was just
Johnny, were you waiting on my recommendation?
It's going to have very little impact on me.
Yeah, I'm going to have kids tomorrow now. Thanks, B-Mac.
Okay, well, I told you don't, so apparently Johnny's just going to do the opposite of whatever I tell him.
Okay, well, so then I'm just changing my I'm never going to have kids.
Don't get us a pizza now, right, John? Okay, anyway, I thought I'd try out the reverse psychology. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. Hey, see if it works.
Worth a shot.
What's
the worst that could happen?
Hey, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right, Sean?
Yeah.
I'm
Michael
sure that's
Scott
up.
said that.
I'm sure exactly. That's up on a motivational poster somewhere. Astro stuff. That's what we're talking about. So Kyle Tucker, he I don't know if you guys know this. He's missed a few games.
Yeah,
he's been a little bit hurt. So apparently there might be light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe the rainbow is not so far away. A couple of updates. One from Channel Rome here. Apparently Kyle Tucker said he's running at around 75% effort. I'd love to see how they calibrate that. It's like, I'm kind of like 74, like maybe upwards of 75, but whatever. Anyway, he's running at 75% effort and feels relatively pain-free. I love that the word relatively is.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. All right, I'm going to stop the quote. If you're only running at 75% and it's only relatively pain-free, isn't that kind of still a big problem?
It depends how relative, It's like
maybe
he's wearing.
Let me
maybe he's wearing uncomfortable shoes.
Let me throw another factor in though.
Okay.
It's the Astros.
Yeah.
What? And you can't trust anything they tell you.
No, why not?
I don't know, Alex Bregman. Well, I mean, Kyle Tucker's still hurt. When they told us initially he wasn't even going to go on the IL on June 3rd.
Maybe he just slept wrong.
Yeah, thank you, Alex Bregman. So anyway, he's running around 75% effort and feels relatively pain-free, though some tightness and soreness still appears. He and the Astros are talking, and this is Channel Rome, he and the Astros are talking through various options for him, some of which involve skipping a rehab assignment entirely, a fluid situation. More from McTaggart, Kyle Tucker provided a long update on his condition just now and said it's an option, quote, to play in Cincinnati next week, but most likely he'll return next homestand, which I believe is like September 5th or 7th, somewhere around there. So, I mean, let's start off with part of this. I guess the first obvious question is, do you buy any of this update that he's 75%, pain, or he's running at 75%, he's relatively pain-free, and he can return without a rehab stint?
I don't know about the specific numbers that are getting thrown around with the Astros.
I mean, maybe he's running like 71%.
Yeah, exactly. 78.
Yeah.
I think though that the idea that he is coming back relatively soon, I tend to believe that. I think with the way that they're talking about it and the way that they're kind of ramping up what he's doing before games, I think that speaks to there is progress being made. I know the Astros don't deserve any benefit of the doubt with that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, like what he is doing before games is getting more and more intensive as opposed to doing something pretty light every once in a while. Now he's pretty regularly doing more high intensity stuff before games. And as far as him coming back without a rehab assignment, I'm kind of fine with that.
I mean, Altuve sometimes does that.
Yeah, and I mean,
but when Altuve's doing it, he's usually only been out a couple weeks. I mean, at this point, so I looked it up. The next homestand starts on Friday, September 6th. So being out from June 3rd, we're talking about a 3-month absence for Kyle Tucker. You would figure even if in that time between now and September 6th, let's say he goes up from 75% to 95, and he's good to go. Even if that's the case and he's good to go, like he's healthy physically, he's able to go. I mean, you've been out for 3 months. I mean, don't you have to have some sort of spring training, quote unquote, and like get your timing and your rhythm back?
He's been taking live batting practice for like a month now.
Yeah, I mean, does that really replicate like what you're going to face against the Diamondbacks? Who's that first homestand or next homestand?
I think with the way that Mauricio Dubon, the way that Jake Myers, the way that
you're right. Good point.
You're depending on
you sold me.
You're depending on Jason Hayward and Ben Gamble, who both of which have been good in their brief cameos.
Gamble homered last night.
I'm
buddy.
a big Gamble guy. You don't need to tell me. I'm a huge
Jason Hayward had a 2-run double on 2 nights ago.
Yes, but we're dealing with Gamble and Hayward on small sample sizes. I'm saying that
the best sample size.
I'm saying that Kyle Tucker working himself into shape or working himself into major league timing, I think that's worth the extra. How long was rehab assignment even going to be? 4 days?
Probably, yeah. I would say about a week, maybe.
Yeah. So I think that just getting him up here, just get it, because it's not anything, it's not the physical toll of being in the majors versus the minors. It is just the hitting aspect of it. And the guys he's replacing in the lineup aren't hitting much better than what I imagine a Kyle Tucker still kind of figuring things out is going to hit. And again, a lot of the timing stuff you can replicate now with some of the tools they have, not just with live BP, but they have different like kind of TrackMan tools and stuff like that where you can face like very realistic hitting where they can put the like spin on the ball that you actually are going to see from like the RPMs that you're going to see from that specific pitcher that's pitching.
I guess maybe the old man in me is like, live batter.
You got to see it out of the hand.
Pitchers,
you got to see it out of the hand.
You got to see it out of the hand. You got to pick up the spin.
No, I
take it the other, grip up, take it the other way.
I don't completely discount that, and I think if we're in a situation where you feel better about how Dubon or Chas McCormick.
That's just it.
If the outfield of the Astros was playing a little bit better, where you could go like, hey, we're not in a rush to replace these guys.
You are in a rush to replace those guys. That's the problem. That's what changes things.
If Kyle Tucker replaces Jake Myers in the lineup and they have Hayward play center field or whatever, it's not the worst thing in the world to me.
Yeah, I think that's the point that kind of brings me around, because when I first saw that, because it was especially since it's presented as Kyle Tucker prefers not to do.
Yeah,
I was like, what? Because you just don't want to go to Oklahoma City? Is that the problem? Like, well, I mean, you don't want to go play at the Salt Lake Bees? What's the issue here?
I mean, I agree with that.
I agree with that. But I was a little kind of the eyebrow raised a little bit on that. But as you broke it down, it's like, I mean, you kind of made the point like, well, yeah, true, it's not ideal, but like you'd rather keep hitting Mauricio Dubon.
You're just going to replace a 180 or 210 hitter.
Yeah. Like, even if Kyle Tucker sucks when he comes back, it's not like he would be that far below what you're currently getting in those spots anyway. So you might as well let him come up and suck for, a week to get his timing back, because what you would have in that spot anyway would also suck.
And I'm also viewing this as, at this point he's missed so much of the year, and when he got hurt, they're almost completely out of it. Now they are pretty locked in, not locked in, but they have a
4-game lead in the
division.
Have
a comfortable lead in the AL West, where I'm almost treating September for Kyle Tucker as that this is his rehab assignment for the playoffs.
Okay.
Where he is working himself. I don't think he needs to work himself to prepare to play on September 10th or September 14th or September 17th. It is get him up as quickly as he's comfortable doing in the majors, so that he can be the best hitter he is on October 2nd, 3rd, 4th, whenever their first game is.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So, you hit on the AL West right there. That was the other question for this segment. So, Astros right now with a 4-game lead over the Mariners. They also won last night, so unfortunately weren't able to add a game back to that lead, which was 5, I guess, about a week and a half ago. But right now it's 4. So the question would be like, I mean, how much are you sweating this AL West race? Because when the Astros were losing, 2 games to Baltimore, they lost 2 in Philly. I believe the Mariners got it down to 3. I don't know if it got as low as 2.5, but I think people were starting to feel a little bit of panic. Not only because the Astros weren't winning games, but when you look ahead at the Mariners schedule, they definitely have the easier of the 2 schedules in September, and especially 6 of the Mariners' next 6 games right now are against the A's and the Angels. So I guess the question for John and for Sean, like, how much are you sweating the AL West race right now? Are you feeling confident that they're going to hold on to this lead, or do you look at the schedule go like, they better play well or the Mariners could pass them?
I'm feeling pretty confident. They do have to still play well, but I think it's more the doubt I have about the Mariners, where if the 2 teams are equal, then yes, I think the the difference in schedule could be the difference in the division. But I don't think the Mariners are playing as well as the Astros are right now. And so with that in mind, I think the Astros still need to play well. They still need to go out there and win it. The Mariners aren't going to go out there and lose it. But I think with what I expect from the Astros the rest of the way, now that they are almost done with this really hard, the gauntlet part of their more difficult schedule.
Yeah, Orioles, Phillies, Royals is brutal.
And you mentioned that the Mariners have 6 straight against the A's and the Angels.
Yeah, they're playing the Angels right now. Then they have a 4-game series against the A's.
And I'm pretty sure that the Astros have 2 series against the Angels left and 1 series against the A's left.
That is true.
So that it is going to come out in the wash. Now they're not consecutive. There's going to be a Diamondback series and I think another playoff team.
They have the Guardians to end the year in Cleveland.
Yeah. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but as far as like the division games that they play, they're going to play the same division games, about the same amount of these division games too.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Sean, here. I think if everything's equal, if all things are equal, then I'm a little more worried about that schedule playing a factor. But I don't think the Mariners can score runs. I mean, their offense is really been bad. And the Astros have become more well-rounded. And, yes, they have the tougher schedule going forward here for a little while. But recently they've been playing well against good teams. Mm-hmm. And maybe they beat. I think they took 2 out of 3 against Boston. Maybe even swept Boston.
They swept Boston in Fenway.
They played. They didn't do as good against Philadelphia here recently, but they played well against the Orioles. They're beating Kansas City, who is not a great team, but they have a good record, and they're
better record than the Astros.
Yeah, and they're fighting for a playoff spot. But nobody expects them to make a run at the World Series or anything. I think the Astros are fine. They play better against good teams down the stretch here, and I think they're just the better team. The lead is big enough to where I'm not sweating it at all.
That's the other thing, is that these teams they're not even in the way
in
the way that they're playing right now, and they're also not even in the standings.
Yeah, they're not even in the standings. They're not even on the roster. Like, as John mentioned, the Mariners offense sucks. Even after trading for Randy Arozarena and Justin Turner, like, those were Band-Aids on a gunshot wound, essentially. That offense was not going to go from second worst ahead of only the White Sox to something that you fear just because you added Arozarena and Justin Turner. So, yeah, I think the schedule is something to look at and keep an eye on. But because the Astros are playing so much better than the Mariners, plus obviously the 4-game lead factors in, and you have a series at home against the Mariners where you could directly add hopefully to the lead in the division coming up, I believe, middle of September. Yeah, for those reasons, I'm not really sweating it at this point. All right, we got to get out. A little overdue for a break here. When we come back on the other side of the break, going to get into the Texans, including an article from the Toro Times, which suggested 3 Texans players that should be traded, or I guess could be traded, now that we're past the roster cutdowns. 2 of them make complete sense. The other one, I think, should come with a drug test. It's an opinion so bad that I was concerned for this man's well-being. But that more when we get back on the Bullpen. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Welcome back in ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. We're going to talk Texans here in a second, obviously following along with the college football action as well, because Sean and I got some money on these games. We both have money on Georgia to cover. I think we got him. Well, you got him at minus 14. I was able to get him at minus 12.
Yes.
And then I have money on Penn State covering minus 13 against West Virginia. You got any other action today? I know you got action on the LSU game tomorrow.
Yes. I don't have any sides for the rest of the day here on Saturday, but I have the under in the primetime game, Notre Dame.
I have Notre Dame plus 3 in that game. Sorry.
Yes. And I have the under in Miami, Florida.
Okay. All right. So if you want to join in the conversation, let us know what you got money on, what you're following. Want to chime in on any of this Texans and Astros stuff. Give us a call on the HRMP listener line, 713-780-3776. But talking Texans now, because there was an article put out by Chad Porto of Toro Times, who I'm sure does great work 99% of the time.
Whoa.
And 66% of this article he does was great. And I agree with it. The other 33.33%.
So 99% of the time he does great.
Yeah, this is some real Yogi Berra math about to happen.
This
Go
is
ahead.
Steiner math.
Sports entertainment.
and 66%
because
of
I'm
the
a
time,
genetic freak. That gives me 131.3% chance of victory over you, Samoa Joe. No? John has no idea what
I'm uncomfortable being called Samoa Joe and the cultural appropriation implications of that. So I would like to distance myself from what...
Caucasian Sean? I mean...
That's almost worse.
Is that almost worse? Is that worse? Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know where to go from there.
Just don't call people by their race and first name.
Granado does it.
He sure does.
I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame. Shouldn't I be trying to follow his path?
Yeah. I think you should.
I think some things John can get away with.
Yeah, I think your logic's a little flawed.
Yeah,
I think you should be trying to do the Brian McDonald path.
That's not why John's in the Hall of Fame. It didn't prevent him from getting there.
That'd be funny if it was.
We like to cut him his jib the way he talks about insert race. Anyway, quickly getting out of this before we get in trouble here. So this article from Toro Times suggested 3 trades that could or should happen, or players to be traded away that could or should happen for the Houston Texans now that they're past the roster cutdown. And like I said, 2 of the names on this list make a lot of sense. One of those being running back Dameon Pierce and, quote, one of the backup wide receivers. So John Mechie, Xavier Hutchinson, Robert Woods. And there was a lot of rumors on Mechie being asked after by other NFL teams. And we've obviously heard lots of rumors about Dameon Pierce being asked about, or at least the idea that the Texans would be open to it. Since they signed Cam Akers and Joe Mixon to start. So, I mean, those make sense. I think if we were to come in and there was news of the Texans have traded, John Mechie for, let's say, pie in the sky, 4th-round pick, I think most of us would be like, okay, that's fine. Yeah. Sure, he was a 2nd-round pick. We saw potential. But, I think overall we would be fine if we came in and saw that John Mechie was traded for 4th or Dameon Pierce was traded for, a 5th, 6th swap. that wouldn't raise any eyebrows, I don't think.
No, both those make sense because they are kind of in spots where
you don't really need them.
Yes, and there's a little bit of a roster crunch there with how many guys they're going to keep in both those positions. I think the Texans kept 7 wide receivers.
They did, yeah, because they included Steven Sims, who's going to be mostly used as a return guy.
That's why it wouldn't have surprised me, especially if Mechie or Woods and it ended up being Brown getting cut. But if one extra guy were either traded or cut, that wouldn't have surprised me. So yeah, so far
it's great.
It's nothing.
66% of this list is great, but
yes. I know. Dramatic
pause. Look, man, I'm battling. Anyway, but
I thought that was only for dramatic effect.
No, it was not. It was trying to keep the cough off the air because
played along. Theater of the mind.
Actually, I should lean into the cough. That's what got Granado and Lance Fairline into the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, please don't start coughing.
I'm gonna try to, Johnny. I'm sorry. The other part of this list, the 33.33% that is should come with a drug test.
Wait, okay. So one of the backup receivers is one of the selections?
Yes.
So of the 66.7% that makes sense, how many of the wide receivers make sense?
No, don't.
Okay.
I'm not in radio because I'm good at math, Sean. I struggled. Okay.
I don't think it made sense to trade Xavier Hutchinson, so I think only 55.
Oh God. Oh, Big Papa Pump, help me, Big Papa Pump. No, I'm not going to do that math. I refuse. I go to the next part. So here's the part that doesn't make sense.
Okay.
He suggests one of the other people that should or could be traded that makes sense for the Houston Texans is Christian Harris, which for so many reasons makes no sense. One, you have so little depth at linebacker.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Azeez Al-Shaair, Christian Harris, who isn't healthy, and
Henry To'oTo'o.
I'll repeat it. And because Henry To'oTo'o is nice depth, but I don't think anyone's excited about, second year Henry To'oTo'o starting at linebacker until Christian Harris gets back.
Yeah, I was going to say he's fine as the third linebacker.
He's fine when you don't have to play him.
Yeah. Or just like rotational kind of duty.
Right.
And yes, even the start of the season here, luckily the Texans at the start of the season don't play any of these super tough quarterbacks. Those come later.
Yeah, they get the Vikings and
the Bills. I think in week 6. That's about.
You want him back for that, yeah.
But I think Henry To'oTo'o playing against rookie Caleb Williams, Anthony Richardson, who's basically redshirt rookie, Sam Darnold, Drake May, or Jacoby Brissett. Like these games, it's all right that Harris isn't going to be out there, but I think come later in the season, they're really going to need Harris.
So that's one problem. Like you have zero depth and not a lot of talent at linebacker outside of 2 guys. So I don't know why Christian Harris would make sense as a trade target when you trade him, unless you're trading him for another linebacker. You already have a problem at linebacker as far as depth and overall talent. Then you'd be creating even a further weak spot. So it falls apart right there. But going beyond that, I don't think many teams are going to be trading for a guy who's currently out for 4 games on PUP.
Yeah,
it's just like
the other part.
Even if a team was interested in Christian Harris, which there should be because he was a good player, especially second half of last season and in the playoffs. But if they're interested in him, they're going to wait till he gets back. They're not going to trade for him right now. So he's out for at least 4 weeks. We'll see when he actually returns. But
is this year 2 for Harris?
No, he wasn't a rookie. Yeah, this must be year 3 because he was drafted the same year as John Mechie.
That's right.
Yeah, and Derek Stingley. He was in that same.
That was the draft they picked all SEC guys.
Yeah, exactly. Kenyon Green as well. Derek Stingley. There's a lot of SEC in
Henry
that draft.
To'oTo'o.
Henry To'oTo'o. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Damian Pierce. Holy crap! Was the entire draft SEC?
It was the entire SEC. I think they picked one non-SEC player in that.
I'm struggling to think of who it was.
It was the 22 draft. I could only see it. I was trying to give who's this writer's name?
Christian. No, not Christian. That's Chad Porto.
Chad Porto. I was trying to give Chad Porto. I was trying to see if maybe there's a contract thing with Harris where trade him before you have to pay him.
Okay. No,
that
doesn't
really
exist.
No, and with the Texans being kind of win now, you'd just figure it out later. So yeah, I really do struggle to.
I can't find the logic here.
It's almost like he needed a third person to add to the list and was looking through the roster and was like, I just don't know.
I think he was looking for a name.
Because if you're looking for a name, yes.
If you're going to post the article with the accompanying headline photo, you got Damian Pierce, like maybe third string running back, but at least a backup, and a group of wide receiver depth. Like you need the name to get people to click on. I think you hit on something, John. I think Christian Harris was more of like, I need somebody that's actually going to draw some views in.
Maybe it's a different position, so maybe this is why. And I do not think that this guy should be traded by the Houston Texans. But
I sense a hot take coming.
But I'm just saying, if you were going to write this article and you're going to say, hey, I need one, Damian Pierce and one of the backup receivers isn't exactly
sexy enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't you go with like Titus Howard?
Yeah. That would like actually be
the more
especially
more
since
obvious.
you have Blake Fisher that like you can make the case. Like I would feel
they
better.
Drafted his replacement.
Yeah,
we can try it out and see if it works. I'll name the podcast Sean Wants to Trade Titus Howard.
Okay.
We'll see how many clicks
Make
we
sure
get.
to put the bookmark for the time and everything.
We'll definitely get a retweet from Titus Howard or a comment from Titus Howard.
Well, only if Jeremy first retweets us because they might still be beefing. I don't know.
I think they should trade their left guard, Titus Howard.
Wow, you went extra hard after calling him a left guard. He's right tackle only, buddy. Don't you forget it.
That's what I've heard. But I think if you were going to do like if we're going to view this in a more cynical way, like that's kind of what I would do, because the case makes itself a little bit more presentable. I mean, I'm looking at the write up for the Christian Harris part, and they bring up the injury history, the fact he's on injured reserve. And
they also bring up inconsistent plays. Like, I get it, maybe if you look at an overall, but what you saw the last half of last season in the playoffs was not inconsistent.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about what happened in his rookie year. He's playing well. I mean, not right now actually, but in the most recent play, he was playing really well.
Yeah, there's this 2-sentence stretch. This only happens if Jake Hansen plays well in his stead, and if the rest of the linebacking core doesn't look awful while he's out. If guys like Henry To'oTo'o can't play better in 24 than they did in 23, then you're not going to move Harris in a trade.
So he answered his own question.
Yes.
Because that's the things he said. Jake Hansen and Henry To'oTo'o playing to a point where you don't need Christian Harris ain't going to happen.
Yeah, I doubt that. So, yeah, I mean,
it's dead. All right, let's talk about some we're going to talk about it from a Texans angle, but I've got fantasy draft actually right after the show's over.
Whoa.
I'm headed over to I'm actually going to watch the Longhorns game and draft basically at the same time. Longhorns game starts at 2:30. My draft starts at 3 over at Jake's on Chimney Rock. So
so go swing by.
Yeah, swing by.
Say what's up to Brian.
Tell me what round I should take a kicker. It better not be it better not be before the last round. But let's on the other side of the break. We'll stick with a mostly Texans angle to this. But let's talk about some fantasy football. Some projections for the Texans, a little bit over under on their stat projections, and where you'd be willing to take, or what Texans you'd be most and least willing to take in your fantasy drafts coming up. That when the bullpen returns. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Welcome back into the Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. We're going to get to, obviously, Mount Rushmore +1 next hour at 1:30, as we always do. And coming up at 1:15, Michael Carroll walked in the building. And so we're going to rope him in to join in on the big question. I had to pull the leg a little bit. I don't think he wanted to do it at first.
No, he definitely did
was
not.
like, I don't got time for you guys.
He said he was behind.
I'm here on a Saturday. You think I got time for you guys?
He said he was behind because he co-hosted with Raheel yesterday. Yeah. And then Brian was like, well, do you want to be more behind? And believe it or not,
he didn't.
Michael Carroll was
couldn't believe
no,
it.
I'm good on that. And yeah, you're able to.
And then I was able to successfully
guilt
trip him into doing it. So I think he's going to join us at 1:15. I might even try to guilt trip him further. See if he's like, go away, Michael. It's not 1:15. Go back to your cave.
Okay.
People, you know, you can see Michael's cave if you come out to the listener party, Sean. It's that time of year. That was a professional transition. Mark that, Johnny Belmer. Send that to Marconi or whoever does the awards. That'll get me in the Hall of Fame, joining John Lance.
This is a Hall of Fame performance.
It's the Hall of Fame performance. So it's that time of year again.
Not only will you see Michael Carroll's cave, you'll see so much more.
So much more. Yeah, all the things, like our refrigerator maybe, like the table we sometimes eat at and spill food on and don't really
dirt
clean.
That's in the studio.
Yeah, the dirt that's to my left here on the floor, all those things. So it's that time of year again where we want to thank our loyal listeners at our 2024 Listener Appreciation Party. Join the broadcast, editorial, and management team of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5 for an evening of food, drinks, and fun at the home of Gal Media here in the Galleria area. While you're here, make sure to weave your way in and out of our production side of the building for a behind-the-scenes look at where and how your favorite shows and videos are made. A limited amount of guaranteed admission tickets are available for purchase and includes food and drink. Must be 21 or older to attend. Head to ESPN975.com under the promotions tab to secure your tickets today. So Texans fantasy. Let's get into some of that. PFF put out some offensive projections for the Texans. You know, biggest offensive weapons. Obviously, that usually put those out, especially from a fantasy side. For the defensive guys. So let's start with C.J. Stroud right at the top here, a quarterback. I think they are pretty dead on with this number, guys, because if you look at what he was on pace for last year, it was right about this number. So this is probably the toughest one on the board for me. But they have C.J. Stroud's his passing total number at 4,556. You guys over or under on that number?
It's tough because penciling in basically 4,600 passing yards. It's a lot.
It's a tall ask.
You almost need. I mean,
it's only happened once in franchise history.
Yes, and you need to play 16. I was gonna say 17.
At least 16.
I was gonna say 17 games, but the guy who did it did in 16.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's true.
But
shout out to Matt Schaub.
You do need to play the entire season to do it. I think I would have gone under, except for on Tuesday. On Gallant and George, we had DJ, and we're talking about the DJ BNMA, ESPN reporter for the Texans, and we were talking to him about the Mike Sando tiers from the Athletic that came out this week, and he just pretty casually dropped that, like, yeah, CJ Stroud probably looking at about 5,000 yards passing. I was like, 5,000. And DJ isn't a guy who just throws out hyperbole for hyperbole's sake.
Yeah, you're right. I don't take him as that sort of guy.
And so I think just off the confidence of which that DJ said that, I'm gonna go over on basically 45-50 on passing yards for CJ
John, where are you at?
Yeah, I'm gonna go over too. I was actually so last night I was watching the Pivot podcast on YouTube. They had Tank Dell on, and he was kind of talking about the offense specifically and Stroud's ability to get everybody the ball and how it's not going to a specific person, it's going to whoever's open. And he specifically talked about how having 3 number 1 receivers opens up the field, and I think that will be available to him all the time. He's going to go to who's open, and that's going to equate to a lot of yards. I'm going to go ahead and go over as well.
And half of that Tank quote would have really excited Paul. That's just going to throw it to whoever's wide open. And then he had to go and say there's 3 wide receiver one. So he had him in, and now he's out again. Yeah, he's like that Alonzo Mourning gift. Like, huh? Yeah. Anyway. I would take over too. It's gonna be close. I don't share DJ's confidence of 5,000 yards. I mean, it's certainly within the realm of possibility when you have 3 receivers like you have, plus Dalton Schultz, plus Joe Mixon's not a terrible receiver. I mean, but I would bet the over, but I would probably bet it with hoping he gets to just over 46 and probably not be thinking he gets to 5,000.
I was gonna say DJ doesn't have to be right for this thing to go over, but I think that his expectation setting kind of pulls me over the hump to take the over.
All right, next one on the list, Joe Mixon. This one was the easiest one on the board for me, and unfortunately, it's on the negative side from a Houston Texans rooting interest. But they have his rushing yardage total projected at 1,298. You want to guess how many times Joe Mixon has done that in his career?
Once?
0.
Ooh.
He has done that 0 times in his career. Now, to be fair, he did go for 1,205 in the 2021 season. So if he had the extra game, he probably goes over that. But still, I mean, he would still need, 94 yards or so. He would still need a really good game to get there.
About the average.
Yeah.
That's, like about his per game average.
Right. So that would have been a tough ask. But, I mean, for a guy who's never reached that total, now obviously in his oldest season ever. I mean, funny how that works. Everybody's in their oldest season ever.
Is that a reason to doubt the Houston Texans? Because every single one of the players
is in their oldest season ever. It's unbelievable, Sean. I can't believe they constructed the roster.
Why did Nick Casario do this?
I don't know.
Why didn't they sign Benjamin Button?
But 1,298 for Joe Mixon.
That's a lot.
I mean, even if he wasn't a 28-year-old running back who's never done that before, you got, as Tank Dell said, 3 number 1 wide receivers. They're going to be probably a 60%. Pass team, I would guess.
Well, yes.
I'm going way under.
See, and I can't do that because this is where it literally says on their total yards. So you're including Stroud throwing the ball.
You know
Joe
what?
Mixon.
I misread that. Okay,
so
good
I
catch.
think this is much more possible than you're leading. And if you're just talking rushing yards, it's tough to think that he would get there, especially with the lack of success.
Good catch.
But if he's catching the ball out of the backfield, this is possible.
Okay.
Yeah, he would have done this looks like about 3 times.
Yeah, I was going to say
total yards.
He's a pretty good receiving back. He's also a 3-down guy, and there's really no one on the Texans that's really pushing him from behind. A lot of what we've been talking about with the running backs in the preseason was more about them kind of fighting for that running back 2 spot. Sorry, Paul. And no real. There's no real point where we thought Cam Akers was going to share the load. Like this is going to be some running back by committee with Mixon. I think with John pointing it out, I still might go under, and this is more of a health thing, which is not like the sexy thing to take into account.
That's very old guy football take. Well, if they stay healthy.
No, I'm saying the under because I don't think Mixon stays healthy to play all these games. He already missed the first 2/3 of training camp, maybe the first half of training camp, with some soft tissue with a hamstring injury.
Hamstrings always heal up nicely though, and they never linger.
Yes, and so I think I go under on here also because the rushing yards is where you're going to get a bulk of these for Mixon, and I like you am not super high on the rushing offense for this Texans team, because you basically need Mixon to get up around probably 1,000 to get to 1,300 total. About 300 receiving yards, 1,000 rushing is where you need to go.
I don't think he's getting to 1,000.
Yeah, and I don't think he's getting to 1,000 rushing yards. So I'm going to go over for that reason. Or under. I'm going to go under.
All right, so quickly, let's group these together. Just tell me which one you're most willing to play the over on for the 3 wide receivers. The 3 wide receiver ones, shout out to Paul Gallant. Nico Collins is at 1,100 yards on the dot. Tank Dell at 1,070. And Stephon Diggs at 957. Who are you most willing to bet the over on?
On their number?
Yeah.
That's tough. Because Nico, the over-unders that I've seen or
I
the
mean, hell,
player props.
last time we were at LaBerge, I got him at a 1,000.5. Yeah,
I've seen him on like 99.5 for Prize Picks. So for their season long projection stuff. So I I I do think Nico's probably gets the most yards on this team, or I would say Nico's probably the best bet to get the most yards on this team. So I'll go over on Nico at 1,100.
Yeah, I would go over too. Simply, not only I think Nico's going to lead the team in yards, so automatically, I think he's going to get more than 1,100, especially if you're expecting C.J. Stroud to go over on his.
Yeah,
but he's also the guy of the three that I have the least amount of questions on usage. Like I think Nico Collins is 100% your number one look, the X, the guy that's going to be out in the field, 90% of the time. Whereas Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell, some of them could be going in and out of the slot. There might be some times in two wide receiver sets where one of them gets pulled for the other one. But Nico, I think, is that X that's always going to be there. So I'm most willing to go over on Nico. John, where are you at with this?
This is the toughest out of all the questions that we went through so far, for sure. But I'm actually on that Nico train as well. His ability to get yards after the catch, to me, takes him above that.
Yeah, and what you brought up with Tank and Diggs, I think those two are going to be the guys that are really, like when we talk about there's only one ball for all three of these guys. I think that those two guys are really going to feel it the most. Bumping down a rung on the wide receiver hierarchy that they're used to, or I guess from last year in Tank's case, and for Diggs' entire career, he's been a 1 or 2. So I think this is really where you're going to feel it. Diggs at 95 or at 950. That's like,
it feels like
that's about right.
It feels,
like that feels. I would not be surprised if he's very.
I think he plays mostly the slot.
He does, and Dell, Tank Dell being a little bit smaller.
Which sounds crazy because Tank Dell's Jose Altuve size.
Yeah, and so now you're gonna have to play him on the outside, which he did a little bit last year.
I mean, and he did it in college too.
Yeah, but I'm not quite confident enough in either of those guys to take the over.
All right, let's carry over a little bit of the conversation for the Texans and fantasy. Which Texan are you most likely to draft? And then after that, we'll get into some college football. That when the bullpen returns for hour 2 on ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome back into the bullpen, hour number 2. We got Mount Rushmore +1 coming up at 1:30. And Michael Carroll is going to join us next segment for the big question, which I have for the guys today. We'll have some fun with that next segment. But carrying over the conversation from last segment about the Texans and where you'd be willing to take their players in fantasy, what you expect for them if they'll go over or under their projected totals for this season. So we talked about their projected stats last segment. Let's look at their ADP and basically try to figure out who you're most likely to take in drafts and who you're least likely to take in drafts from the Texans. So right now, these are basically based on 6-point scoring PPR. So just keep that in mind when I'm giving you these projections. But right now, CJ Stroud projected to go at pick 501. This is also projected on or based on a 12-team league.
So,
I think,
for the casuals out there, that's 5th round, first pick.
Thank you, Sean.
Oh, you just said 501.
501. Yeah, I think that was pretty easy to follow, but I appreciate the bit. Joe Mixon is projected to go 5th round, 8th pick,
okay.
508. Like, you following along?
Yeah,
Sean, you got it? Okay. Nico Collins at 401. Tate Dell at 604. Stephon Diggs, I think a little bit surprised here at 402. So he and Nico are back to back. And then Dalton Schultz at 1107. I guess I'll start with you, Sean. But when I'm looking at this list, I think the name that immediately screams to me as far as who I'll be most likely to take is Tank Dell. Like being in the 6th round. And at that point, being probably already having 2 wide receivers ahead of him. I mean, if you could get Tank Dell as your 3rd wide receiver, 6th round, so you might already have a couple of running backs and your quarterback or tight end as well. I think Tank Dell makes a lot of sense as the guy I'd most want based off this ADP.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Tank Dell. But I mean, we just talked about the projections for these 3 receivers, and it was Collins at 1100, Tank Dell at 1070, and Diggs at 557.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you take into account, not only is this is for PPR, right?
Yeah, PPR.
Okay.
6-point quarterback touchdowns than PPR.
So when you take into account the chemistry that Stroud and Dell have already shown in their rookie year, and really, I mean, they're doing joint interviews together on podcasts this
$1 million
offseason.
worth of game they were on together.
Yeah, I think that it's reasonable to bet that these guys are going to be able to maintain that chemistry even as they add in Stephon Diggs. And I think that not only as a PPR guy does Dell make a lot of sense versus the other 2 receivers. I also think that how Dell really was at times the red zone threat for the Texans.
I think he'll lead the team in touchdowns or receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And then when you think about that, where you're getting a guy who you feel pretty good about getting red zone targets, and he is going to be either the 2nd or 3rd wide receiver on his team, I think that's what really pushes him over the edge, and the fact that you can get him 2 rounds after these other guys. Where Diggs, there are some question marks about his production this year that you might have. Where Tank, I almost have less questions about his production, and I'm getting him 2 rounds later. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Tank Dell.
Yeah, I think not only all of what you mentioned is true, but I think when you look at these guys, based on where they're projected to go, their ADP, I think Tank is the most likely guy of all these to exceed his draft position, to play better than the projected stats you would get from that draft position. Like CJ Stroud right now is with going at 501 is going between Jalen Hurts and Anthony Richardson, who with their rushing upside. Now we'll see with Anthony Richardson because obviously he's not been a very accurate passer so far, but I mean, you're picking him right after Jalen Hurts as a non-running quarterback. Like I have some serious doubt about CJ Stroud exceeding that unless he has some sort of like 35 passing touchdown type season, which last year I think he threw 23. So that would be a big jump.
And the only and this is a very narrow line to walk, so I get how it might not. It's a very risky proposition to do this, but really what this shows me is that at 501 Stroud is projected to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 604 Tank is projected to go. I think that there could be value there in getting a stack there because of what I mentioned, because of Tank Dell's touchdown prowess, that you're going to double up on a lot of those touchdowns, and that's where maybe more of the Stroud value comes from. The problem, though, is that you, at least based on ADP, have to go Stroud and then Dell on the back end, which is the only way that makes it viable, like this kind of strategy viable. I guess you could go Schultz towards the end of the draft, but there's a lot less upside doing that.
Yeah,
I don't hate honestly. Schultz might be like second on this list of guys I'm most likely to draft.
I mean, obviously you're completely punting the tight end position,
which is normally what I do. Yes,
but and I do too. Here's the problem though. Like, I don't mind the idea of punting the tight end position because they provide, unless you get like a top 3 to 4 guy.
You're just hoping a guy catches a touchdown.
But if I'm going to take a shot on a guy, I hate taking a shot on a guy who's at the very best
gonna be
the fourth target in the offense.
I get that.
Maybe fifth. I mean, that's probably reach. He'll get more targets than Joe Mixon. But at very best, he's the fourth target. He's just going to be so inconsistent. I mean, basically, unless he catches a touchdown, you're not going to be happy with his
Yeah, and I for a good part of last year, he was through injury about this. I mean, maybe even the second option for some of these games.
Tank Dell
he was at
down.
the very least the third option, or the very lowest he was ever the third option. And some of those key.
And even
games,
with that, he was like 600 yards.
Yeah,
and he in a very inconsistent middling option. So I think so. We agree there that Tank is the most likely that we would take. John, weigh in here. Who is the most likely Texans player you would take in fantasy right now?
I think it's Tank, partially because I actually had Tank last year and he did wonders for me before the injury.
Before he was an inside blocker.
Yeah,
I like the loyalty there.
Yeah,
and that's a very true feeling I get with fantasy football.
Well, because
I'm like, salute
you live
you.
the Burns, you live the guys, the heroes of your team.
Yes, exactly.
What somebody did last year doesn't necessarily mean it's not necessarily something you can look at to say I'm going to pick that person this year. But yeah, there's a little bit of loyalty there. Like he carried me for a while last year.
Warm feelings. Again, I mentioned Matt Stafford. The relationship that Matt Stafford and I have has gone back a decade from when he was throwing for 5,000 yards on 7-9 Lions teams. That's the fires that molded. Matt Stafford and I's bond.
I think the most likely person here that I would take is Tank Dell. But just to be clear, if I'm looking for a quarterback to draft here and it comes up and Stroud is still on the board, I'm taking.
Yeah, I
Stroud.
think. How early are you willing to take him, John?
What was that?
How early are you willing to take him?
Not too early. I mean,
because if it says 5-1 on his ADP, but let's just keep this in mind. Like, if you're in a league with a bunch of other people from Houston who happen to be Texans fans, you're probably not getting him at 5-1 because all those Texans fans like, well, if I want Stroud, I'm gonna have to jump ahead and get ahead of these other Texans fans.
It's kind of the strategy of how bad you want him. The thing is yes, I'd like to have him on my team, but there are other quarterbacks that you can.
And at a certain point, I do wonder, Brian, for the non-running quarterbacks, for the ones that you're not taking into account really their rushing production. Where does Stroud fall on that list versus I think Mahomes falls in that.
Mahomes would be one. Burrow, and then probably Stroud.
Would Stroud be Stroud would be behind Burrow.
I would, yes. I mean, for my own personal belief in rankings, I would put Burrow ahead of him just because we've seen him have really good fantasy seasons without running. Stroud was fine last year, but when you look at his week by week, there were only 2 or 3 games where he really helped you.
How's Burrow's fantasy season last year?
Not well. There was a stretch there that was really good.
But what happened?
Yeah, he got hurt. No, it's a look. There's
made of glass.
Stroud is not a bad answer. Like if you took Stroud, if you're going to wait for, if you wanted to get if you didn't want to take one of the running quarterbacks early, like Allen or Hurts or Richardson, and you wanted to go passing quarterback, I don't blame you going Stroud over Burrow. I would more blame you for taking quarterback that early. I would just tell you to wait.
I think and what you brought up with Stroud, and chances are if you're listening to this, you are in a league with a lot of Texans fans. I do kind of resign myself to like I am not going to be able to pick up any Texans or any.
Tank's the only one I think I might be able to get.
And another one's Texas Longhorns, where it's just like I know I'm not gonna if this year I don't have a top 3 pick, I will not be getting Bijan Robinson, and there's a good chance that every other Texas Longhorn gets drafted like 2 rounds before they should.
It's funny you mentioned that. The draft I have right after the show, there's one other guy in the league that's a Longhorns fan, and every year he takes Justin Tucker before I can get him. We just randomized the draft order. He's 1 spot in front of me. So when it gets that final round, he's going to take Justin Tucker spot. You see, I bet in your league you have a bunch of people jumping to take Justin Tucker way too early.
It's a lot like the nuclear proliferation between the Soviet Union and the U.S., where it just keeps.
John, are you sitting down for this comparison? Hold on. Do I need to get out a pen and paper? What?
It's because what's happened year after year. Because we're talking about a 10-team league, all of which are Longhorns
we're talking about
fans.
Nuclear arms race. Okay, I think I'm on board now.
So year after year, the ADP for Justin Tucker basically climbs half a round.
You've already had your draft in this league, right?
Not
that league. Okay, I was going to ask you where you went.
That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
But so at this point, Tucker goes like in like the 7th round of this. Where just someone just wants some more.
Somebody just bleeds orange.
Someone wants some more, and now the real question is for all those following the draft of this league, how does Cameron Dickers fantasy viability affect this? Does that lower the Tucker value because
you can wait to get Cameron Dicker?
Yes, if you're dead set on drafting a Texas kicker 5 rounds before you should, can you wait?
That'll be the question we have to answer next week.
I'll report
the week
back.
after. Yeah,
I'll report back.
All right, we're way over. On the other side of the break, it's time for the big question. Michael Carroll will join us against his will, reluctantly probably, but he will join us on the other side of the break. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
Broadcasting live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios, it's the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Welcome back into the Bullpen. Thank you for joining us. Next segment, Mount Rushmore +1. You don't want to miss that. Follow along on the college action here as well. We might mix in some comments on that, especially if our bets go either well or poorly Right now, both are looking promising, but we'll keep you updated here. Michael Carroll wasting his time right now with us. He didn't want to be here, but he's here anyway. He's got lots to do because he was hobnobbing it with Raheel yesterday.
Yeah, it was.
as a fill-in radio host out of East River 9.
Yeah,
what does hobnobbing entail?
Whatever I did yesterday.
Yeah, whatever he did. I mean, East River 9, it's a little fancy. I mean,
I did feel very fancy walking into there.
There we go. Yeah.
Did you play any golf?
No.
Oh.
Have you ever played golf?
Yes, I have driven a golf cart and ran it into a tree.
Okay.
That's not playing golf.
Yeah, that's not playing golf. None of what you described is playing golf.
Isn't it though?
Hold on, Michael. Do you know what golf is?
Yeah, it's where you drive golf carts, right?
Okay, see, that answered our question.
Okay.
You didn't realize it, but it answered our question.
Yeah, that's what I did.
How quickly were you escorted from the premises when you drove it into a tree?
Not very quickly because I was a child, so it was fine.
Okay, all right. This invites more follow-up questions. At what age were you driving this golf cart into a tree, Michael?
Is that the big question?
I'm pretty.
No, it's not the big question. It's a bonus, though.
It's a little
is it the big question? I think I was 12 or something like that. I think so. I don't remember.
That's old enough to get in trouble for this.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to reverse or something. I don't remember, but it was. You
don't remember because of the concussion from when you ran into the tree.
Went over
did I hit the tree with my head? I don't know.
This explains a lot.
The tree just jumped out in front of you.
Yeah.
I mean, what was I supposed to do? I didn't know what else to do.
Probably not drive it to the tree.
I mean, all right, shut up.
Hindsight is always 2020.
Yeah, hindsight's 2020. All right, let's get into our big question. There might be multiple big questions depending on how long this goes. But my first big question for all of us here: what non-traditional animal that is saddled would you most want to saddle and ride? So obviously we're taking off like horses, like animals that you would traditionally put a saddle on and ride.
So,
which is, I guess, is just horses
and camels. Elephants.
I have an answer.
Elephants is I would say that's traditional. Yeah, people do that.
Okay.
So
I just wanted to eliminate the ones,
so we scratch those off. Like, what animal would you most want to put on a saddle and ride?
Komodo dragon.
It's not that big. It's not big enough for you to ride, though.
Yeah, it is.
How big is a Komodo dragon? Okay,
I
Sean's going to do the
big.
research. Sean's going to do the research. Google will tell us if Michael's killing this animal.
I just type in K and it pops up. No, I'm just kidding.
How big is an adult Komodo dragon here, Sean? We got an answer?
We are at adult males can reach 10 feet long and weigh up to 300 pounds.
Okay, I stand corrected.
See?
I stand corrected.
Komodo dragon.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Are those poisonous?
Their saliva is. Yeah.
Yes.
You sure you want to ride it?
Venomous, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do it.
All right. Well, R.I.P. to Michael Carroll.
How would I not look cool on a Komodo dragon?
They are apex predators.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You didn't say if it.
I don't know. Can you ride this? We have a person.
You're really
totally
low to the ground. That. Like your feet are dragging.
It is a low rider.
Yeah.
I like low riders. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. When you look at Michael Carroll, you first thought is that guy enjoys a good low rider.
Yeah, they're 10 feet long.
I give low rider vibes.
Like how tall are they off the ground? Like a foot?
Let me look up Komodo dragon height.
I didn't know this segment was going to turn into Komodo dragon research, but that's what I'm here for today. Okay, well, while Sean looks that up, Michael, how much Komodo dragon talk will there be on Comicast this week and with you and Jung Lee?
There will be a lot of Komodo dragon.
There will be a lot of Komodo dragon.
Yes,
well, you can find that on
House of the Komodo dragon.
House of the. Well done, Sean. So how tall do you say this animal is?
14 to 17 inches.
I think your legs are longer than that, Michael.
No,
it's gonna be a problem riding.
You just gotta like.
No, he wears 14s actually.
You gotta like lay back and you gotta like crack.
Oh,
your
you
legs.
gotta lean.
You gotta lean.
You gotta lean. Okay. Now you're looking cool.
Have you ever swang with a Komodo dragon?
So the saddle is more. There's a.
It's like like you gotta lean back a little bit.
Okay.
You cruising on a Komodo dragon.
There's like holsters for your feet towards the front. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it'll work.
Man,
it's fine.
Just blasting Fat Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
leaning
it.
back.
I will say,
I think it's a cool
if
idea.
I saw you riding a Komodo dragon like that, I was like, Michael's got more Riz than I thought he did.
Yeah.
So much Riz. So much Riz.
I can't believe you guys just said Riz.
I mean, I'm very hip with the youth, Sean. You know that.
We know these things.
I do know that. And now we know way more about Komodo dragons than we ever thought we would know.
I think that's the like the thing I'm going to take away from this show today is I can now go home and tell my wife, how long and tall a Komodo dragon is. Like, did you know?
That's
dearest wife, a Komodo dragon is 10 feet long.
I don't know what the other stations are doing, but I know
they're not
here
giving you Komodo dragon talk.
They're not giving you Komodo dragon talk.
All right, Sean, what would you most want to ride?
Well, because
that's not a Komodo dragon.
I'm doing a little bit of research because I don't want to look.
You want me to go to Johnny?
I don't want to look foolish.
Let's go to John. Let's go to John.
Okay. Yeah, you can go to me. The first thing that popped in my head as soon as you said it was an ostrich. Ostriches
people already put saddles on it though.
Do they?
I don't think they're traditional though.
Okay. I mean, there are ostrich races at like the dog tracks and horse tracks.
But I didn't know that.
I don't think there's people. Are there people on them?
I don't know. But I have seen people put a saddle on an
ostrich races.
Videos. Sean's having to do so much extra research.
Forgive me for not knowing they already race ostriches.
No, it's fine.
Brian.
I forgive you.
I don't. I judge you harshly.
No.
Yeah, there's jockeys on these.
Okay. We'll come back to you in a minute, John. We'll give you some time to recalibrate here.
He just fell off.
He just fell off.
Yeah,
You're watching the video right now?
He was winning and he fell off.
So I'll jump in here. I think the animal I'd most want to ride.
I think the only way off is to fall off, actually.
I think I actually saw this in the documentary Black Panther. But I
love that Marvel movie.
Yeah, no, it's the documentary.
Oh.
Yeah, it's about the state of Wakanda.
Panther King.
Yeah,
we all watched it during quarantine.
You didn't. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I question your how much you comprehended what happened in that movie, Michael. If you took away from that was some fictional world. Anyway, as your microphone collapses,
he's so upset.
So the animal I'd most want to saddle and ride, because there's no way, like if you're pulling up in a confrontation and you're riding this, that you don't like automatically win. I'm riding in on a rhino.
Oh, yeah,
like if I'm riding in on a rhino, like, and you ride in like on a horse, you're like, okay, you were probably right. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go the other way. You're on a rhino, so I'm pulling up on a rhino, and when I see your Komodo dragon, the Komodo dragon is gonna turn tail and run.
No, he's not. He's gonna poison you somehow.
No, that's not.
He's just gotta get a little nip, and it's fine.
Okay, Sean, what
it's
you got?
It's a great call, Brian. By the way,
thank you.
I'm gonna pick a panda.
Ooh,
okay.
Definitely not traditional. Now there has been someone who's ridden a panda before.
I guess, yeah. Have they? Have you found video?
Brick Tamlin at the end of Anchorman. Steve Carell's character rode a panda at the end of.
I love Lamp. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I think panda, good size, close to 200 pounds, 300 or 2 to 3 feet tall. So that's
it. Does
high
feel
enough.
like of all the bears you could ride, like your least amount of danger.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Like if you were trying to ride a polar bear, you would not ride the polar bear for long. Yeah.
Yes, that is part of the not research that I did, but the thought process that I had when putting together my draft board was, oh, bear, and then I thought, oh wait, I would get murdered.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And I think panda, less likely to get murdered.
Pandas are more vicious than you think.
How vicious are they?
How vicious do I think they are?
They're
you been doing a lot of
playful and
research?
funny, but they got powerful bites.
Really?
They can take you out. Oh yeah.
Panda,
John's been watching panda fight videos.
Panda attack human.
So did you think of another animal, Johnny, or were you sticking with ostrich?
Well, I like the ostrich thing because I don't think it's traditional. But if you want to make me pick another animal,
I don't think I do like that we are now like dissecting what traditional is.
If you make
this question very seriously.
If you make me pick another animal, I'll go the dangerous route and just say screw it. I'll take a tiger.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, that is very dangerous.
That's very.
I mean, I think Michael's dying from his Komodo dragon, but you might be second to die.
Yeah, but I'm gonna get it as a newborn, raise it, feed it, take care of it.
Exactly.
So it doesn't kill me.
The Tiger King.
Yeah.
Also,
there you go.
Also, they still attack those people.
Yeah, have you seen the Tiger King documentary? People have gotten their arms bit off.
But once you lock eyes with them when they're a baby, they imprint on you. That's how it works.
I don't think that's how science works, Mike.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you can imprint with a Komodo dragon, though.
Yeah, you can. If you can imprint with a tiger, you can imprint with a Komodo dragon.
Dodgeball logic.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
If you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge
Yeah,
a ball.
I know
That's
like
what you're going
I've
with.
referenced a lot of early 2000s comedies in this
You're
segment.
hitting my sweet spot here, Sean. I appreciate it. Quickly, Mike, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Yes.
Because I have high expectations for this answer.
Yes.
What are you naming your Komodo dragon?
Toothless.
I don't know what I expected, but I like it.
How to Train Your Komodo Dragon.
Oh, on that.
There you go.
We're going to break. We're gonna stop. We're gonna stop.
That's
Waiting.
what I
Leave it
did
to
reference.
Michael for a movie reference. There
Oh,
you go.
is that the name from the?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. See, that
Yeah.
went completely over my head.
Someone doesn't know ball.
I-
And when I say ball, I mean How to Train Your Dragon.
I didn't know. Does Comic Cast feature a lot of talk about How to Train Your Dragon?
No, we have talked about the House of the Dragons. We have not talked about how to train the
There's
dragon.
a lot of overlap, though.
There is
More overlap than
the Venn diagram
Yes,
of Comic Cast fans and people who
I mean,
watch How to Train Your Dragon. There's quite a bit.
there
of
were
overlap.
like 3 seasons in this episode about how, or 3 episodes in the season in House of the Dragon about How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah, there was.
All right, so Comic Cast can be heard on ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5 every Friday night. So unfortunately, you missed this airing, but thankfully, it's on all your favorite podcast platforms. You and Jean Lee talk all about Marvel, DC, new movies in the theater. What's on the most recent episode that people can hear?
The most recent, we roast Sony about some of the things they're deciding to do with Spider-Man. I don't know why.
I mean, Kraven the Hunter's gonna be great though.
Oh,
yeah.
looks
so
phenomenal.
good.
We also I gave my non-spoiler review for The Crow.
Spoiler: it's terrible.
Whoa.
It's terrible.
No, it's not good.
I was going to watch it after the show.
No, you weren't.
Let me lies.
I would have the theater to myself.
You would
because it's terrible.
It's not good.
This is terrible.
We talked about that. Well, I talked about that because Jong didn't see it. I took the L on that one. And yeah, Marvel's multiverse plans, because Robert Downey Jr. had some more comments about Dr.
Ooh, okay. I look forward to that. I will give that a listen here later today. All right. Thank you for joining us, Michael. Now you got to go back and get to your other job that you neglected yesterday to play Hot Shot Radio.
Lazy.
Hey,
with
neglected
Renewal.
is a harsh word, okay?
I mean, is it inaccurate?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. I kid. Thanks to Michael Carroll for joining us. Make sure you check out Comic Cast again. You can hear it every Friday here on these airwaves, ESPN 97.5 and 92.5, and also find it on all your big podcasting platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. When we get back on the other side of the break, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5, it's time for Mount Rushmore Plus One. Don't go anywhere. Welcome in, Houston, to the best part of your weekend. It's time for Mount Rushmore Plus One, the segment that changed the sports radio landscape forever. It's award-winning. It's groundbreaking. Someday, it's going to get Sean and I in the Texas Radio Hall of Fame. I think this segment.
Yes.
I don't know if it'll take 26 years like it did Sean and Lance, so that would be a disappointment. But it will someday. It'll someday get us in the Sports Radio Hall of Fame, but we will see. So I will go ahead and lead off here. And this is, Sean already knows part of this list because it kind of leaked out in our conversation during before the show while we were watching Georgia and Clemson in the bullpen area.
Leaked out like there's pictures on set of you practicing this, or like there's some investigative reporting that happened.
Yeah,
here.
Exactly.
No, I just said a phrase and you're like, that'll come up later.
So this is a Mount Rushmore Plus One of football things I'm looking forward to talking about. Football things. It's just I enjoy some of these are cliches. Some of these are more like ideas or kind of drama things that'll happen during the football season. But football things I'm looking forward to, mostly in the college football world. But number 5, this directly affects us, Sean.
Okay.
As it pertains to something that would happen on the 40 acres. I'm looking forward to camera shots of Arch Manning on the sideline every time Quinn Ewers makes a mistake. having that drama of like, Quinn Ewers just throws an interception. Hey, look at that. It's Arch Manning on the sideline. He's I don't know if you know this, he's the backup. He could come in at any point.
Yeah, I like
Speaking of that Dr. Pepper commercial, which is great.
Yes. I like that. I like that will be a storyline, as, maybe in 2 straight 3 and outs to start the game.
Not and today, then, probably, but yes.
Yeah, 2 straight 3 and outs to start a game, and then it's like a long lingering shot
Arch
on
Manning. He's on the sideline. He's got the hands in the jersey, like
jump start this offense. Maybe they need the jolt. Yeah,
maybe they do. We'll see we'll see what happens. All right. Next one on my football things I'm looking forward to talking about this season. I look forward to being right in hindsight about what a coach should have done on 4th down. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, should he kick the field goal? Should he have gone for it? Should he have punted? I know one thing on Twitter. After it happens, I'm going to be right about what he should have done.
Yeah.
So I look forward to that.
I don't care what the analytics
doesn't matter.
Football
guy Brian, he knows ball. He knows what he should have done on 4th down.
Pin him deep or go for it. Yeah.
Either way, I'm going to be right.
Or
Sean.
Take the 3.
Take the 3. Yeah, it's so obvious. We all knew it after it happened.
One of my favorite things, and this is a little bit of a detour, is when we talk about just kick the field goal, we just add the 3 points.
Yeah, like it's a guarantee that they're going to make it. But it's like a 47-yarder.
But then also,
outdoors.
And I don't mean to step on a possible future one.
Uh-oh.
Where you go, college kickers.
You know what? It's funny you should say that. That was under consideration. If I had a Mount Rushmore plus 5, it would have been on the list. That I was considering tweeting out college kickers. After every miss.
Yeah. The Minnesota North Carolina game came down to college kickers.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. Not when you have Bert Auburn though. We'll be fine. We'll see. Prayer emoji, prayer hands emoji. All right, number 3, Sean. I think you might know what this one is, but I don't know if you guys know this. The short passing game. It's an extension of the running game. Doesn't matter if you're not running the ball well. You just throw some screens.
Throw a bubble screen out there. That works.
Slant.
That basically works as a running play in this offense.
You pick up 3-4 yards. You keep the chains moving. It's the same thing. Yeah. The short passing game.
Sometimes you're not getting pushed with the line, so you
got to get creative out there. You find other ways to simulate having a running game by throwing the short passing game.
And in some offenses, you really just want to get your playmakers in space.
Yeah, that's not on my list, but that's a good one. Yeah, you got to get them in space. Get the hands. Got to get the ball in their hands early. Get them involved. Yeah, that's not on the list either, but that's a good one too. Number 2, I look forward to anytime there's a quarterback running really well, for the announcer to tell us is like, when the quarterback's running the ball, you get an extra blocker in the run game. I don't know if you know that.
Sure do.
You get an extra blocker in the run game. That's important. That's important schematic fit there. I mean, you got to make sure you get that extra blocker. And last one, Sean, if you don't get this right, I'll let you guess. I'll be very disappointed in the relationship you and I have. What is the number one thing I'm looking forward to in football?
Establishing the run.
Damn right. Establish the run, baby. That is number one on the list. And you can look on my list. You can verify it. I wrote establish the run. That's right. I look forward to establishing the run.
Yeah.
Damn right. Johnny, what's your Mount Rushmore plus one?
Hey, that was an impressive guy. You're on the same wavelength.
I know. Yeah.
I know. You got to establish the run, Johnny.
There's a lot of pressure when you have to fill in the blanks.
I know it.
I had a complete faith you would get that right.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, best friends forever, huh?
Heart emoji.
Mine's a couple weeks old, so don't judge me on that. It dates back to the Olympics when that was kind of happening. So I'm just going to go through this here. Includes summer and winter Olympics, not just summer, even though we just went through summer. But quickly, Dr. Dre has decided that he wants to compete in the 2028 Summer Olympics that are here in the United States in the archery competition.
Does he really?
And
that sounds like some rich guy stuff.
Yes, it is.
It's a hobby that
rich guys have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's one where it's like, yeah, I'm in my 50s, maybe.
He
60s,
probably saw that
what
was that Finnish dude that just came out with no equipment, just sidearmed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's things that older people with money can definitely do on that route. But it got me thinking.
Sounds like a future Mount Rushmore plus one. Go ahead,
got me thinking. What other celebrities I would like to see compete in Olympic activities based on what they've done in their past. Yes.
Do you like how I raise my hand like I'm in class?
Yes, Sean.
Is it both celebrities and the event, or is it just the celebrities and we can fill in the events?
Oh, so I have an event for each celebrity, but you can also change that.
Okay, no. Do your thing.
So number 5 here. So 3-on-3 basketball, we lost. The USA team was not good, and nobody watched, nobody cared. Yeah. But 2 Chainz played basketball in college. Hear me out here on a scholarship, so he's a good player. I think you stick 2 Chainz on that 3-on-3 USA men's basketball team. You got eyes on the team, and you ain't losing with 2 Chainz. Leading the
2
group.
Chainz, Quavo, and Jack Harlow.
There you go. I like that. Number 4 on my list here stems to that flag football thing. By the way, the guy that said he's better than Patrick Mahomes can kick rocks. I put so in high school, this guy was a starting quarterback, Jamie Foxx. I think Jamie Foxx, number 5 here.
He also played a quarterback in
Any Given Sunday.
Yes,
Sunday.
He did.
That's right. Yeah.
Is my starting quarterback for our USA flag football team.
Keeps the women.
I like
can't
it.
say the word he keeps.
Number 3 is a sport that we don't necessarily follow here in the United States very closely in rugby. Okay, and the celebrity in this case is Hugh Jackman, who played rugby.
Now, does he get Wolverine powers in this?
No, so here's the quote I got.
As the Wolverine.
I actually found this quote. This was a Hugh Jackman quote. It said, "In playing rugby, my rage would come out. Rage that I identify as Wolverine rage."
Wow.
That is a
Wolverine playing rugby. I'm all about.
Me too. For the USA men's team in the Olympics, I'm all for that.
Well, he would probably be on the Australian team.
I don't care. He's
Okay.
Thank you, Sean. This is number.
This is Johnny's list, Sean. How dare you?
Thank you, B-Mac. But you're probably right, Sean. Number 2, I have ice hockey. So this is where it goes into that Winter Olympics kind of thing here. I put Keanu Reeves on the USA.
Okay. Was he in the Mighty Ducks? What's the connection here?
He played ice hocky for a long time. Yeah.
Okay.
So I put him.
You had me at Keanu Reeves. I don't need that. Yeah, I'm in.
But I think you'll appreciate. You're in on number 2, but I think you'll appreciate number 1 even more.
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna put this person on the U.S. men's tennis team.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the wrestling team. You were really gonna have me there.
No, but you'll like it though. Matthew McConaughey played tennis back in the day in high school.
After
that. Yeah. I'm still putting him on the team.
I think playing at Longview High School tennis is about the same as competing on the
Olympic want stage. The interviews, right? After
get him there. We're not saying he medaled.
Exactly.
Get him there.
Exactly.
I really thought Johnny was about to tell me he was going to put the tribal chief in Olympic wrestling, and I was going to. Johnny and I's relationship was never going to be at a higher point.
I thought about throwing some wrestling in there for you, B-Mac, but
it's all right. It's all right. Next time. All right, main event Mapes. What you got?
In honor of Nathaniel Tank Dell. Go
Cougs.
Yes, I think we'll just. I won't play the audio here, but it's in honor of him on the Pivot podcast. not only explaining the origins of the name Tank, but saying at the end that he thinks he's just going to change his name legally to Tankdale from Nathaniel to Tank.
I like it.
I'm doing the Mount Rushmore +1 of great sports nicknames.
Nice.
Bonus points for if they basically take over what your name actually is.
Yeah.
I'm going to lead things off with Calvin Megatron Johnson.
Yeah, Megatron's a great name.
It's unique. It's it's a great one. It really sets
it sets the tone for like what type of athlete you are.
Also, it fits Calvin Johnson perfectly. I don't really know how to explain why.
No, I'm with you.
But he's definitely more of an Autobot than a Decepticon, I would say.
Nerd alert.
Just to speak on his character. But give me Calvin Johnson as Megatron. Next one. This is one because it's semi-backhanded, but also a compliment. The round mound of rebound, Charles Barkley.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because part of it is
a little bit of
he's fat.
You're trying to say he's chunky.
He's fat, but also rebounds.
Yeah.
So I'm going with Charles Barkley. This one, Houston legend, Reggie, Mr. October Jackson.
Nice. Yeah. Not the basketball Reggie Jackson, because being Mr. October in basketball,
that's a bad thing. Also, side note, he's not on this list, but he has a good nickname, Big Government, because
I didn't even know that one.
Yeah, bailout shots. He bails you out. Big Government.
Is that real?
Yeah,
is that real?
It can't be.
Yeah, right, John? That sounds like he made it up, but he came up with it too quickly for it to be fake, though. So I think he's telling us the truth.
Big Government. What a great name.
Wow.
Why
is this not on the list?
Because I wanted to make way for not just a Houston legend in Reggie Jackson, but another Houston legend, Hakeem the Dream, Olajuwon.
Yeah, it's a great one. Yeah, it's kind of basic, but it's also just so good.
It's so good
because it flows well.
The rhyming works well, and then in the spirit of Tank Dell, where Tank has now just kind of become his name, Irvin Magic Johnson.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, Magic has basically become his.
I didn't want to. I also Eldrick Tiger Woods.
Yeah,
I'll give Magic his.
That is. Tiger Woods would definitely be in kind of the others receiving votes. I'm trying to think in my head.
Reggie Jackson, the point guard for the Clippers.
No, I wasn't gonna go with him. I was trying to think of other players I would put on here as you're doing
Glove.
this.
I would put.
I
would put Big Puma. Lance Berkman.
Oh, Lance Berkman.
Yeah,
Big Puma's a good nickname.
I probably could have done a Houston.
You probably, just Houston. That could have worked. Are there any other
assassin,
names that? Huh?
The Ninja Assassin, Antonio Smith.
Oh, that's a good pull.
I mean, Black Mamba for Kobe was a pretty good nickname.
He did give it to himself, so he gets points for that. But...
Air. I mean, come on.
Air.
For Michael Jordan?
Who? Yeah, that's a good one.
Wow. You just
before my time.
You just try to hate shame me? Is that what happened?
Even though I had Mr. October on my list.
Good Lord. Yeah. Yes, we will go to break, Johnny. Thank you. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. If you can't tell, I have disgust in my voice for Sean Mapes.
I
thought the relationship was growing. He knew I wanted to establish the run, and then he age shamed. About Michael Jordan, when you had Reggie Jackson on the list.
And Charles
Barkley. ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. One segment left. We'll be back.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Go Dogs, up 27-3 right now in Clemson. Johnny's hating ass, a little disappointed right now. He's trying to hate on Sean and I's bet, but it is going pretty well, Shawnee. Penn State also doing well for my -8 I had on them. They're up 14 at halftime. You feeling? How are you feeling about Clemson, Georgia right now? We good?
You don't want to
you sweating it at all?
You don't want to. I still not sweating.
No sweat. I see no sweat.
You don't want to count your chickens before they hatch.
Oh God. Okay. You drop it. You accused me of being old in the last segment. What? You're dropping that one. All right, let's get into.
You don't count your money till the dealing's done. All right?
There you go. Now you're speaking my language a little bit more. You were just at a casino. That sounds like something you picked up there. All right, worst person in sports time. My worst person in sports this week. It's actually a full team. If you watch that Colorado game against North Dakota State on Thursday, they had the game. I mean, they still end up hanging on to win, so it doesn't cost them. But they had the ball under 2 minutes, is about 1:40, with North Dakota State only having one timeout. And they decided to chuck it deep out of nowhere. I'm just losing my mind watching this. I mean, I'm not saying they have to kneel it. You want to run the ball, whatever. But what are you doing, Dylan? Chucking the ball deep with 1:40 left.
No, I respect it. I needed Colorado to cover.
All gas, no breaks.
If they would have scored, they would have covered.
Okay, all right. So Shawnee has.
So I was there. I agree with you that there's no actual reason to do that.
What in the world are you doing?
If you're not thinking about covering, there's no reason to do that. But
maybe we got a scandal going.
I needed them to cover.
Maybe the OC had the over as well. So who's your worst person in sports this week?
Worst person in sports this week. Michigan State quarterback Aiden Childs for a week ago when talking about the season opener against FAU saying, if you bet, take the over.
Did they hit the over, Sean?
The first quarter ended 2-0 Michigan State. The game ended 16-10 Michigan State. They did not hit the over.
What was the over underline?
I think it was.
So they hit 26.
I think it was in the 30s. I think it was in the high 30s.
I kind of have a feeling especially with Big Ten football. Now, this doesn't apply to Oregon, who's recently in the Big Ten. But for the traditional Big Ten schools, when the number that is that low in the 30s, kind of like we've had these cases with Iowa the last few years.
Yeah.
I mean, take the under. I mean, it's just those Big Ten teams. I mean, especially Michigan State, Iowa, Minnesota, Indiana, like those schools, take the under.
Yeah, and you think obviously there's no preseason. Actually, it was 44.5.
Oh God, you didn't take the under. What happened?
No, I didn't touch it.
Oh, you didn't touch it.
No,
okay,
I'm saying Aiden Childs led people in the wrong direction.
All right, let's time to stop swimming with the anger sharps and go ahead and doggy paddle over to the Sea of Tranquility to talk about what we loved in sports this week. I love that Stephen F. Austin was beating a no-name school, which I later found out to be a school called North American.
Yes.
And that seems like a generic school made up in college football 25.
An entire continent.
But Stephen F. Austin beat them so bad they're up 70-0 at halftime that they decided, you know what? Second half, instead of 15 minutes, these quarters are only 5 minutes. That was that. I've never seen something so bad in college.
This something you loved?
Yeah, no, I loved it. I love that you could see a game. You only see this in the
soft. Play the whole game.
No, I love.
You signed up for the whole game. Play the whole game. I hate this. I hate what America become, where you can quit.
You're missing what I'm saying.
I hate what North America has come, where they quit.
I like that Stephen Austin beat them so bad that they had to shorten the game. You're missing what I'm hearing. What'd you love from sports this week?
What I love from sports this week, I mentioned earlier that Minnesota had a narrow loss against North Carolina in Minneapolis.
Yeah, it came down to college kickers.
Yes, a kicker missing it at the buzzer. I guess the person in charge of fireworks at the Minnesota Stadium didn't have a great view.
Oh, no.
Because as the clock hit 000, fireworks were set off from Minnesota Stadium to celebrate the win, which was actually a loss.
Oh, man. And that's what you love from sports this week?
Yeah.
It's a bad person.
At least I don't love quitters.
At least I support North America.
The entire continent.
The entire damn continent.
That lost by
take your hater ass attitude to South America. Get out of here.
I'm going as north as you can go. I'm going to Minnesota.
All right, we got to get out. We're right up against it. So no show next week because the Aggies are on like at noon or whatever. It doesn't matter. We're not on next week. Be back the week after that. Have a great weekend, Houston. See you next time.